Before we begin this podcast, please be advised that the following episode contains language that some listeners may find offensive and inappropriate. The opinions expressed by the host and guests are their own and do not reflect the views of the podcast producers. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to this week's episode of Voices of a Killer. Today, we sit down with Sean Reynolds, a man who killed a stranger in a 2008 burglary gone wrong. Unlike most killers we've interviewed on this podcast, Sean's case stands out in that it took investigators 10 years to track down their man, all while Sean believed he'd gotten clean away with murder. Now, 8 years into his sentence, Sean takes fresh accountability for a crime that had long gone cold. We chart his turbulent upbringing in a crack-ridden home that ultimately destroyed the course of his young life. And we relive, through Sean's eyes, the one disastrous night that scared a young group of friends into silence and left the wrong man dead. So sit back and listen to one man's story of wreck and ruin on this episode of Voices of a Killer.
So, Sean, did you grow up in Kansas? Because you're locked up in Missouri right now, but you actually, your murder happened in Kansas. Are you from Kansas?
Yeah, I'm from Kansas.
So, tell me about your childhood growing up. Did you have it rough, or was it kind of a good family, or what?
Well, just because you have it rough don't mean you don't have a good family.
Sure.
But we kind of grew up poor, and then all my people had drug problems. Well, my dad, he got clean. He was laid off for most of my childhood, but then when I was like 10, he got his job back, and he quit doing drugs and getting high. But mom, she kind of couldn't.
What kind of drugs do they do?
Cocaine. They smoke crack.
So you grew up, and you explained that doesn't mean you didn't have, good parents. Obviously, your parents probably loved you just like anybody did. But crack cocaine, we all know that's a very strong drug, and a lot of times you probably see them put that in as a priority many times. Was that difficult to watch them stressed out over running out of it and stuff like that?
Well, once I got older and could really understand what was taking place, my drug problem kicked in.
Which one's that?
I started smoking crack when I was 12.
Did you get it from them and try it?
Yeah.
We all know that crack is just an extremely powerful drug. What was that like at 12 years old, taking that thing and hitting it for the first time?
Well, you don't realize that there's a barrier in between you and your family until you step over it.
What do you mean?
You know what I mean? So for my whole childhood, my parents would be locked in a bedroom
smoking.
So then once I started getting high, keep in mind, Dad had already quit getting high. So all he did was work. My dad was a workaholic. But me and Mom, we started ripping and rolling. We run around, get high, all that.
How does your dad, crack is so powerful, how did he just, quit like that? And then you guys are still doing it. He's smelling it and seeing it and knowing it. And how does that happen?
Well, Dad was more into drinking. And one night, I guess I was probably 9 years old, right before. What happened is Mom and Dad got into it. Uh-huh. Dad beat up Mom, and Mom was like, fuck you. We're not doing that again. I'm out of here. And he didn't want to lose his family, so he got sober.
He won her back by saying, that's the last time I smoked. That'll never happen again, basically.
Yep. He quit drinking, quit smoking, all that. And went to work.
She kept going. Did they ever have run-ins with the laws whenever you were younger?
Yeah. My mom, actually, she got locked up for robbery. Man, how old was I? Yeah, she ended up being the getaway driver in a liquor store robbery.
Wow. So I picture Kansas as really low-key. And did you grow up in the city?
Yeah, I did.
You grew up on the Kansas City side of Kansas?
Yep.
And that's basically, we all know
it's the ghetto.
Yeah, well, we also all know they're both one and the same. Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas is kind of basically the same. And it's got a pretty high crime rate, and there is a lot of crack cocaine. And how old are you?
How old am I? I'm 34.
So 34, then you definitely grew up a time whenever crack cocaine was really surging onto the scene.
I used to skip school, and that was what we did. We'd go smoke crack.
Yeah, it's such a young age. Because I know that crack is extremely powerful. That's just such a young age.
In a drug-ridden household led by two irresponsible parents, the odds were stacked against Sean Reynolds from birth. Crack cocaine was a mainstay of Sean's young life, and he saw firsthand how the drug brought his parents to ruin, nearly wrecking their marriage and turning his mom into a felon. While at first, the drug abuse took place behind closed doors as a badly kept family secret, Sean quickly adopted his parents' habit. In fact, his mom was key in enabling her son's burgeoning addiction to the drug that had overtaken their home. Smoking crack at a young age can impair a young person's development. Evidence links chronic crack use to lifelong brain damage, causing paranoia, insomnia, and delusions. So when Sean picked up the pipe at 12 years old, it compromised his future, setting him down a grim and precarious path that was likely to end in tragedy. After the break, we hear how crack robbed Sean of his teenage years.
Your path is almost, it's just destined. What child grows up watching their parents smoke crack and then getting a hold of it because they just see their parents doing it? You're destined to have a turbulent life. There's just almost no way around it. Of course, there are people that get around that, but obviously you're the victim of circumstances. Did you end up graduating high school?
No, I got a GED.
Yeah. What did you do whenever you quit school? What did you go do? Did you start working?
No, I've already done 5 years in the Kansas juvenile before I caught my adult case.
What'd you go to juvie for?
Everything. The last time when I was 17, the most major one was I got a kidnapping.
At what age did you ever go to prison?
To prison?
Yeah.
Well, I did the 5 years in the juvenile. Those were all maximum security facilities.
Yeah.
And then when I was 20, I caught my first adult case. I got out the day before my 20th birthday. 7 months later, I caught my Missouri case.
For the robbery?
For robbery, yep. They gave me 14 years for that, and I've done every day of it in May.
In position with that date, when did the murder occur, before or after I'm a little confused on where that happened.
Okay, so the murder happened before I got locked up as an adult, and it actually happened before the last time I got locked up as a juvenile.
Well, I want to go back a little bit to the smoking crack at such a young age. How does it coming down at such a young age? Because that's one of the hardest come downs, coming off of crack cocaine. Like, how do you deal with that kind of stuff at such a young age?
Just try not to come down.
Try to keep smoking it.
Yeah. My real dad, so my dad isn't my real dad, he's my stepdad, but he's raised me since I was a baby.
Yeah.
My real dad died when I was 12 in a meth lab explosion.
Wow.
But I never had no dealings with him. He didn't want nothing to do with me. Well, when he died, he had worked for the railroad his whole life. And I started getting $1,800 a month.
Oh, from some kind of
Social Security benefits.
Yeah, some kind of benefits that went down to you.
Yeah.
Did you just smoke that all the way?
Smoked every penny of it.
How long did that last where you got that kind of check?
They gave it to me until I was 18. So I did 5 years in the juvenile. The whole time I'm locked up, my mom kept getting the check. So
she was cashing it?
Yep. My mom died when I was 17 of a cocaine overdose.
She was shooting it, smoking it, or snorting it?
Smoking crack.
How did she die? What was the cause?
Cocaine toxicity.
Wow. Did she smoke a lot, or she just kind of, was it just a regular?
No, she smoked a lot.
Yeah.
She had real bad pain problems because she shattered her heel. So she used the cocaine for pain management because the oxys made her sick.
Sean made it into adulthood by the seat of his pants. Growing up in a home that exposed him to drugs regularly, Sean was a thick-skinned, desensitized teenager who emulated his parents' example. Before long, he had started engaging in unsavory activity, accumulating a criminal record that stretched from kidnapping to robbery. Throughout this chapter of his life, Sean was periodically in and out of juvenile detention, racking up 5 years of time across institutions. Shortly after his 20th birthday, barely a legal adult, Sean was slapped with his most serious sentence, 14 years for robbery. Locked up with no real prospects and scrambling for any chance to get high, Sean had hit rock bottom. What's more, the crack use has finally claimed his mom's life, which left Sean with a dwindling support network. Little did authorities know, however, that Sean Reynolds was more than a troublemaking teenager, and his past was far darker than they realized. As Sean killed time in a cell waiting for his release date, he was holding on to a tightly kept secret. He had escaped punishment for murder. Next time on Voices of a Killer, Sean confesses to the crime he nearly got away with.
If you want to find out what happens next, right now, you can sign up at patreon.com/voicesofakiller. There you can find bonus content, early access, ad-free listening, and access to our chat community. So go to patreon.com/voicesofakiller to sign up now. Your support is what keeps us passionate about bringing these stories to you. That's a wrap on this episode of Voices of a Killer. A big shout out to Sonic Futures, who handled the production, audio editing, music licensing, and promotion of this podcast. If you want to hear more episodes like this one, make sure to visit our website at voicesofakiller.com. There you can find previous episodes, transcripts, and additional information about the podcast. Lastly, if you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Your feedback helps us improve and reach new listeners. Thank you for your support, and we can't wait to share more stories with you in the future. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Toby, and we'll see you next time on Voices of a Killer.